Alright, so this is another session here. I think this is the next week with Dolly. So as you can see, we're warming her up again on the ground, just starting on a 12-foot line. Now it looks like we're going to start with a neutral circle. That's the exercise we're going to be working on here a little bit, to try to get that a little bit better, to see if she can understand the idea of a circle. So the idea, this isn't lunging, we call this circling. So now the trouble would come is that when people do way too much circling, they sort of skip the other things. They sort of skip the idea of moving the hindquarters and forequarters and getting the sideways and getting the backing up and getting the horse to stand still and all the other things. They just work on this circle because the idea that they might have is to get the horse to almost like to wear it out or to warm it up before you get on it, to get the fresh out. See, I can understand if you have a horse that's high energy, you can get that energy out of him, but you need to get maybe to where you can make use of it. So you could teach the horse how to become more obedient through the use of this energy. See, these high energy horses are easy to work with if you know what you're doing, because they've got the energy that you can use to teach them things. Horses that are, let's say, dull, or let's say low energy horses might have a harder time because we need to get that life up. There we go. So we're just going to work on a 12-foot line here for now at a trot. I'm not particularly concerned which direction we go, just as long as she keeps moving her feet. Let's say at least a trot. I'd like to get anywhere between 4 to 6 laps at a trot. Now, I may not do this every single session. I might do this maybe every other session at first, maybe once a week. I might play with this. I don't even need to do this every week, but it's sort of a skill that I like to add to the repertoire of the horse. Think like a guitar player has a repertoire of songs. So you add these things to your repertoire. Can you do these things? It doesn't even need to be to where you do them all the time, but can you do them? See if you can do them. The process of gaining the skills to do these exercises, you're going to notice the changes in lots of other ways. They're going to have a spillover effect in other areas. I'm going to ask her to step back here. So once you can get it on a 12-foot line, you might do it on a 22-foot line, and then on maybe a 45-foot line. Once you get to a 45-foot line, now you're cooking. See, now you're really getting the connection. See, the horse really is thinking about what you're thinking about here. At this stage, it's almost more about respect. Does the horse have enough respect to do the circle? This is just to get it done. At the 22-foot line, at twice the distance, now the horse needs to have respect and impulsion. So does the horse have the emotional stability to keep going without being driven and driven and driven and driven? Or to not run, to not just tear around you and careen around in a circle? Does that horse have that emotional stability to control that life in their body? And I might work on a few changes of direction here. I get to where I can step back and draw the energy and then direct it. So you don't fix your horse, you direct your horse. Can you direct your horse through time and space? There we go. Let's see if I can get her prepared now for this barrel. See, that was good on the circling, so now we're going to switch to something else. See, once we got her playing the game, the circling, the idea of the circling there, we're going to switch to something else. There we go. Now I'm going to get her thinking about this barrel. See, I'm not just like a trail load here. So now, once she got straight, she went and just jumped that barrel. Wasn't really asking her to jump it right there. All I was asking her to do was to get straight. There you go. I tried to get in her way there. See, most people would have missed that. But see, I got in her way as soon as she tried to cut between me and the barrel. And said, I'd like you to get straight. Put your nose over that barrel. As soon as she did, she jumped it because she thought that was the idea. See if we can get her to go put her nose on that ball. Don't go around the ball. Put your nose on it. There we go. Give it a push. See, the horsemanship you might need to have to get your horse to do these things, to push that ball around, might be something that really has an effect on your outcome. See, now we're going to fast forward a little bit so you get to see the whole thing, but you don't need to see every little bit of it. You can just sort of see what I might do here. So now we're working on the figure-8 from last time, but we're going to see if we can make a little improvement here. So we need to have some consistency. We might repeat the same things occasionally so we can progress on them. There we go. So now we're trying to get her to think about what we're asking her to do here. So that's the idea. Can we get the horse to think about it at first? It's not about just does the horse do it. Is the horse thinking about doing it? Because that's what we're really after. That's the partnership that we're trying to build here. Is can we get the horse's thoughts to become our thoughts? That's how you know you've got it. There we go. So I got to have good tool management here. This is really something that's good for you. So you don't need the barrels, really. You don't even really need to do this on a longer rope. If you've got a lot of experience, you could do this on a short rope with no barrels, and you could have the experience to know that you could probably get it done with a long rope. You could probably get it done with no rope if you know what you're looking for, if you know how to feel it. So now maybe someone with less experience might need to practice this on a longer rope to sort of see if they got it, because you might not have 30,000 horses under your belt, nor do I, but there are people that have that many horses under their belt that could probably tell you what they could do without having to even do it, because through feel, they can feel of the horse and they can read the horse. And they know what that horse would offer. So there we go. We're trying to make a little improvement on this. So I try to tap things in. I don't try to pound it into the horse. I just tap it in, so I just play with it. It's not even really that important how well you do, just as long as you know how you did. See, if you could score yourself on these things from 0 to 10, what kind of score would you give yourself? See, a lot of people would do this the first time, and I've seen people give themselves an 8, and I would tell them, you don't even know what an 8 is yet. An 8 is almost perfect. Let's say a 10 is the horse puts in 99% of it, and you put in 1%. You just give the idea, and the horse executes. So how would you score yourself here? Let's say a 5 is the horse did it. The horse completed the task, but it wasn't. There was a lot of room for improvement. It's not really important what your score is. Not at all. It's important that you know what your score is, that you have an accurate depiction of where you're at on these different types of things. So these are just different ideas. These aren't things that are set in stone. You don't have to do these things with your horse, but you can do these things with your horse. And you can build the relationship here. You see, horsemanship is fun for people that love to learn and love to progress with their horse. If you want to just get on and have your horse be perfect right off the bat, you need to buy a bicycle, because that's not how horses work. Even the best horse in the world, if I gave you my best horse, and a year later you'd have it looking like your other horses. But as soon as you start to learn, as soon as you start to build your skills and understand these things, that good horse that I gave you is going to bump back up. Boop, 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 boop. It's going to bump back up to where it was when I left it, see? And that's the same way. The same thing that happens when you send a horse to me for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever. Whatever I taught your horse, horse might inevitably lose something when it came home. But the more you put into it, and the more you'll get out of it. That's exactly how horses work. That's the beauty of it. Whatever you put in, you get right back from the horse. There we go. So you can see she's got quite a room for improvement. There we go. But you can see here in a minute that she'll kind of hook onto the idea here. So I can first get her to not work against me. See, right now she's kind of working at the wrong thing. So I allow her to work on it, but I might make it difficult. You don't make it impossible. Get her to choose to do things for me here. There we go. See, I'm not doing this to her, but I'm doing this with her, and we do this together. It's not something you do to the horse. It's something you and the horse do together. There we go. So now, see, the trouble comes is when people send me horses and they're starting off on a negative. So a lot of horses would come in to the program and they're starting off these things on a negative 10. So they're working against you. They've got a built-in defense against the human. Unlike a horse that's just barely halter broke and has no handling, that's like a blank canvas. That's a clean slate. So whatever goes into that horse is what I put in there. Whereas other horses that have previous experiences with a human, they've got their own ideas on what. See, they think they know what I'm about. They think I'm something bad, or they think they can push the human around. See, when this horse came, just about when this was taken, I guess I got her about six weeks earlier. She came to the barn, and she really couldn't lead without walking on you. See, she didn't know how to back up. She didn't know how to move the front quarter. I guess you'd say she thought you were a food dispenser. in a sense. See, she had a great rapport with her owner. So owners get great rapport with the horse, and that's really important. That's half of it. But you need to get the respect, and you can get that when they're little babies. You don't have to wait until they're running over top of you. So you need to get that respect early on, and you don't need to get it by being mean, see, being authoritative. You get it by being assertive. You cause the wrong thing to be difficult, allow the right thing to be easy. You don't cause the wrong thing to be work. See, I see people, they lunge the horse around and get it tired, get it worn out if they're not quite doing the right thing, and that's not what we're looking for. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about getting the horse worn out. We're talking about causing the wrong thing to be difficult through clear direction, and then support if needed. Now we're going to switch it up. Now we've got a little sideways going. So can we teach that horse? See, the horse doesn't really naturally use those muscles here to cross over. So it's kind of unfamiliar. A lot of horses are bumping into the fence, backing up, turning left, turning right, trying to run me over, trying to run away. They really have no idea how to do this exercise here, this little sideways, this lateral motion. And rather than me trying to hold on to the horse up close to try micromanagement, I simply say, hey, whenever you're straight on, you get relief. Things are easy. See, if you go and try to get crooked, you're going to run into the string, you're going to run into the rope, you're going to run into me. Life is difficult when you're not straight, when you're not prepared in a position. So these are just little things to try here, little pieces of the puzzle. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Every little piece helps. Every little piece builds on the relationship. And so just sort of add these little pieces to your repertoire. There we go, right there. I gave her a little swat on the butt because but see, she's running into the end of the rope. See, I'm not pulling on her. She's pulling on herself. And when she gets straight, she gets the relief. There we go. Good. See, she found it. This is difficult. This is very difficult to get. It's easier to hold up close and try to get that horse to sort of micromanage the horse, but it's very difficult to get that horse to do this on their own without being micromanaged. So the idea is when she gets out of position, life is a little bit difficult. There we go. When she got prepared, she got straight on, perpendicular with the fence, then she gets relief. So I think in the next video we've got some more exercises on the 22-foot line. We've got some flag work that I think I work her through. We also show you some stuff in the snaffle bit you can use to prepare in a snaffle. And then a little bit after that, we've got some riding. So I ride her in a halter, I ride her with the snaffle bit as well. So we've got a few more things we're going to show you here.